Jose Ramirez fractured his left hamate bone in his hand. He's headed to the IL. Could miss up to 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how quickly he rehabs. He broke his right hamate bone in 2019. Missed 4 weeks, but that was a rushed rehab process due to the playoffs being right around the corner at that time. I think they're going to play it a lot more safe this time around to make sure Jose comes back at full strength. But Jason, we talked about this a little earlier. I want to elaborate it a little more now. How do you think this Jose injury impacts the front office's decision on whether or not to be aggressive, super aggressive, and/or stand pat at the trade deadline, knowing the division is wide open, knowing the American League is wide open, and knowing that they need some bats now in the lineup to withstand the loss of one Jose Ramirez?
I don't think it does, because he's going to be back around the trade deadline, if not before. So, I talked about in the first hour, this is a runway for Gabi Arias, who we've cast off 150 times and keeps finding his way back in. If Arias plays a competent third base and is league average at the plate, you're just treading water until Jose gets back. I think they were going to be buyers anyway. So I think are you going to trade for a third baseman? No. You're not going to trade for a third baseman. Why would you do that? So Arias, you would hope, could at least hold it down until Jose's back. Maybe Arias plays himself into someone who can stick in this lineup after he's back, because I do think they need another right-handed bat. I think they're very left-hand heavy. So maybe Arias is somehow an internal answer, and I roll my own eyes as I say that, because we've tried that so many times before. But we said the same thing about Rocchio, and now Rocchio's figured it out. It just, some guys it takes longer. Jake Bauers is still a productive major league player. It's just a different timeline for different guys. Maybe this is the Arias moment. I don't know. So I don't think it really changes their trade deadline plans, because I think they were always going to be active around the deadline, and you're not gonna rush out and trade for a third baseman now. So I don't know that it really has much of an. It sounds goofy to say that, but I don't think it really has that much of an impact on it. Now, let's wait and get news on DeLauder. When we get an update on Chase, maybe we're having a different conversation. But given the information we have right now, no, I can't say that it is.
Yeah, we get a chance to see Arias again, and it's weird because we talked about it for so long. We wanted to either see Rocchio grab the position or Arias grab the position, and it seems like they go back and forth. There's ebbs and flows, and it seems like Rocchio has finally put together a longer track record of success now, where it's like, okay, it looks like he may have figured it out. What do you do as an organization when you have somebody like Arias, who you had as a top prospect? You send him down, he starts hitting the cover off the ball. What is it that makes you finally say, okay, let's give him another opportunity? Or injuries,
necessity? Because I don't think he was getting it without this.
Yeah.
He wasn't cracking the everyday, regardless of what he does in Columbus. I don't think he was cracking the everyday lineup without an injury to present an opportunity. And now he's got the opportunity, and now we'll see what he does with it.
Yeah, I look at it, man, and he can play third base, and
he can play anywhere.
It's so crazy because he just looks the part. Like if you go to a Guardians game and you look at Jose does not look like he should be good at all. Like his stature, but he's like a little Tasmanian devil. Mm-hmm. But Arias, if you look at him, you like, man, good athlete, fluent. He got the long locks going out. Nice arm.
His arm is incredible, and he's got power in his bat. He can go opposite field, but he's just never been able to put the whole thing together at the same time. But he is athletic enough. He can play outfield. He can play first, third, short, second. Literally, he can play any position. I don't know about center. I don't know if you'd feel comfortable with him in center, but he can play almost any position on the field besides catch and pitch.
Who do you look at in terms of the lineup now? Obviously somebody goes down, somebody has to step up. Who do you look at to say, okay, it's time to turn it up a little bit, that hasn't really done what you thought they might have been able to do?
I mean, Kyle Manzardo has been thawing after a deep freeze in April. His numbers still look bad because he was horrific for the early part of the season. I don't know, month, 6 weeks of the season. He was really bad. His numbers over the last month aren't as bad. He's a guy that, for me, has got to emerge, and he's got to play like a cleanup. He's got to hit like a cleanup hitter, like a middle of the order bat. Bazana, you're putting more of a load on Bazana now. I know he's a rookie, but you got to be at the top of the order. You got to be that guy that sets the table. we'll wait and see. It sounds like Martinez isn't that serious. Hopefully he's back in the lineup. He's going to be streaky. We talked about it before because he doesn't walk at all. He's going to be prone to this. Mm-hmm. But, hopefully now is the time for one of these and not one of those.
What do you think?
Manzardo's hitting 300 basically with a 943 OPS in his last month.
Yeah,
so
But if you look at his overall numbers, they're atrocious.
Yeah. If say for I watched the other day, Schneemann came in and hit a pinch hit home run. What do you think Schneemann would be? What is if he legitimately got to play every day? What do you think his ceiling could? I've always thought that he was versatile. He's a good athlete. He has power. He can play. He has a good arm in the field. If he had a opportunity to play every single day, what do you think he could be?
I think this is who he is. I think he's a guy who, again, versatile, can play anywhere on the field. I don't know that you want him in the lineup 150 games in a season, but if a guy goes on a DL for 2 weeks, you could slot him in there for 2 weeks, and you're going to be fine. I think there's probably a limit to his offensive game and to his hitting ability, but he's an incredibly valuable piece because he can sit for 2 or 3 days and then come in and he can go 2 for 3.
That's crazy.
And he can get you a pinch hit when you need it. So, and there's a lot of value in that. And his positional flexibility, he's another guy. He can play pretty much anywhere. So he's a very valuable piece, but I don't know that you want him as your everyday second baseman for 150 games or your everyday, certainly not your everyday shortstop or your everyday center fielder. If a guy's in a slump and you need to give him a couple days off, you can plug him in. If a guy's got a hamstring, he needs 10 days off, you can plug him in. But I don't know that he's necessarily a guy that you want to count on as one of your starting 9.
This division, I think we talked about it in the first half of the show. This division allows you to have a couple of bumps and bruises and still stay in first place, as you see with the White Sox. Out of that list, are you more surprised that the White Sox are still playing well, or are you surprised that Detroit is where they are? And do you think Detroit is going to have something to say about this division now that Scooble's back?
The Tigers are the biggest surprise in baseball, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, they were a World Series contender, and they're 13 games under 500, 10 games out of the division. I'm still not convinced they're going to sell at the deadline. I think that they feel like they're close enough that they can make a run, and they're too invested into the season. But it's funny, they're sort of in the same spot that the Angels were with Shohei Ohtani, where it's like you can trade them, you can get pretty significant pieces back to move forward with, or you can push all in. And I think the Tigers are better positioned than the Angels were when Ohtani was there. The Angels made a huge mistake by not trading Ohtani. I can sort of see the Tigers already have some young positional value and some players that they feel good about going in the future. I could see why they wouldn't want to sell on Scooble. But, I mean, the White Sox are a great story that they've come on earlier than anyone imagined that they could. But the Tigers have to be the biggest surprise for all the wrong reasons at this point.
Yeah. We'll see how the last 2 years people came back and forth. Last year, I believe, was the Guardians who came back, and the Tigers were up a lot of games. So we'll see if the Guardians can hold off the Tigers this time as we move into the summer.